Right now, we're really trying to source some additional acreage or raw material supply. I've been looking at the hemp benchmarks that were showing that a little less people are growing this year compared to last year. And so we're hoping to kind of get people interested in any way we can, help them put their acres into production of hemp, and then us be the kind of end buyer of that.
Hey guys, it's Mandy with Global Hemp Association. I wanted to say thank you so much for joining. I'm excited about the opportunity to build a relationship and connect this supply chain. I mean, after all, that's why we started the association. Our association was built on the foundation of connecting supply chain, building relationships, and helping you grow your business. Anyone from farmers, manufacturers, and distributors, people that are passionate about the supply chain, and those creating products selling into biofuels, plastics, textiles, construction, and building materials.
Hello, hello. Oh, hi, Theo. Are we getting an echo? Can you hear me okay?
I can hear you fine.
Perfect. Hi, I see lots of people are chiming in from LinkedIn. Hi, Brandon, Jay, Jackie. It's great to see you guys. Please let us know where you guys are chiming in from. We love the messages. We want to engage. I'm really excited to introduce Theo and his team to our network. They've got lots of awesome things coming on line and have been super supportive. I want to give a huge shout out to your team for your support on our fiber trials also, and excited about the data that's coming from that. And so Theo, thank you so much for joining. Before we get started, I want to remind everybody that next Tuesday at 1 o'clock, we have an event. You can find it on the friendsofhemp.org website. Right now, we're rebuilding our Global Hemp Association website, which is kind of exciting. So at the end of this month, we'll have some new stuff for you and a better way to connect and find content. But on the Friends of Hemp website, but we're going to really be diving into, again, more processing that's happening, a Q&A format. And then Theo will be coming back again later on where we can dive in and actually give you guys more opportunity in face-to-face time. And of course, you guys are getting ready to ramp up and really open your facility. So before I chat too much, you want to share a little bit about who you are, what you do, and how you got to this place?
Yeah. First off, good morning, and thank you for having me, Mandy. It's been a real pleasure to meet you. Been seeing you at all the events around the nation here, and so getting to meet you, all the networking, it's been a real blessing on getting us up and going and meeting the right people. But yeah, I'm Theo Wakabushcook, the operations manager with Prairie Band Ag. Prairie Band Ag is a subsidiary to Prairie Band LLC, which is a family of companies here in Northeast Kansas. We're wholly owned and operated by the Prairie Band Potawatomi Nation. And we are going into our third year of operations. Year 1 and 2 was kind of the build out of our operations, building out our facility, getting our footing in with growing on the industrial hemp side, getting those practices down here in the Northeast Kansas region, and it's been fun.
Very, very cool. So tell me a little bit about your background and your team's background, right? Who's involved in this project? And you say production. Can you talk to me a little bit about what your operations have been over the last couple of years, some of the challenges and growth opportunities you guys have had?
Yeah. So I have an environmental science background, tailored towards botany, chemistry, and all of the sciences in that fashion. And it really kind of brought the educational aspect of understanding the hemp plant, and of course we work a lot with our tribal nation, the Prairie Band Potawatomi Nation, and their land management department to kind of help us co-facilitate the planting, the harvesting, and kind of building that bigger operation there with the land mass, the acreage, the leases, and all of that.
Can you talk to me a little bit, what does that look like? What is are you guys a land tribe? There have been some tribes that I've been kind of shocked by that just don't have a lot of land. They weren't given the land that they're owed, and so they're kind of between this rock and a hard spot of ability to get into the industry. And so, what is accessible for you guys as far as land?
Yeah, so within our current borders, there's approximately 77,000 acres.
Wow. Okay.
The tribe owns around half of that, so 50% of that 77,000. I believe we manage about 10 or 11,000 on the farming side, as far as leases, and then our own land management practices. So, haying, livestock, bison, cattle, and the works there. Um, so slowly, we're kind of acquiring some of those leases on the Prairie Band Ag side to put forth towards the hemp production, and so trying to build up that land base there on our operations.
Very cool. Okay, so tell me about hemp production, right? Tell me what you guys are. You guys are launching and have an open house here pretty soon. You guys are doing raw material processing.
Yes, yep. We'll be processing bales. We have an open house September 17th, so we'll share that with everyone here. And I know Mandy has shared it on the GHA newsletter already, so thank you for that.
Yeah.
But yeah, we'll be having an open house and we'll be processing, not at the open house, but going forward, once we open up and get everything fired up, we'll be processing raw bales, breaking it down into the constituent hemp parts, and kind of going from there. Yep.
Okay. What kind of equipment are you guys using?
We have Formation Ag's FiberTrack 660 line,
Awesome.
the full line.
Can you talk to me? So you're in Kansas, right? Talk to me about like end markets. You guys have a unique opportunity to be involved with the tribe and securing land. Talk to me about what are plans for end markets, and will it be tribal usage, or what's kind of the business model look like?
Yeah. So we have been reaching out to other tribes. I just went to a conference about 2 months back, and it was all of the tribes in the nation coming together, seeing where everybody is on the cannabis and hemp side. And a lot of tribes are doing a lot of things, building materials, housing, all of these renewable parts of what hemp does. And so uh, we would like to work with some of those tribes and being
Yeah.
some of those sources for the raw materials for those building projects, for housing projects, and et cetera.
Okay. For being able to supply herd, are you mainly focused on herd for building materials? Are you guys doing grain also?
Yeah, mainly fiber herd,
Yeah.
but not strictly to tribes. Any of the market out there that
Yeah.
we could potentially supply, we of course want to open up that bottleneck and help the industry move forward, build it up, and kind of uh, yeah, help that side of things out.
So what do you need the most? What is it that you guys need to really move material forward, move your organization and operations forward?
Right now, we're really trying to source some additional acreage
Yeah.
or raw material supply. I've been looking at the hemp benchmarks that were showing that a little less people are growing this year compared to last year, and so
Yeah.
we're hoping to kind of get people interested in any way we can, help them put their acres into production of hemp, and then us be the kind of end buyer of that, and just kind of get the education, get the word out, and kind of promote the industry in that fashion. But yep, acreage, funding, grant opportunities, things like that. We're really looking for to help supplement our operations. Getting new equipment that's tailored towards hemp. Because right now we're using some equipment that we make do, and then of course there's all of those risks associated with um, using leased equipment on hemp.
Yeah. Okay, so I'm curious on the scale of acres, right? You guys are in Kansas. How far long term are you guys looking to expand outside or past away from your facility? 100 miles, 150 miles? What's your ideal distance?
Ideal, I would say once the freight and shipping costs start coming in, less than 250 miles, I think max would be before the cost of shipping and all of those included costs start really cutting into the financials of that.
Yeah.
But yeah, even if yeah,
Okay.
to that question, yeah.
Okay. So talk to me. I'm really curious about, process to scale and the type of, challenges that you're seeing. You guys are not running your facility yet. Is that right?
Correct.
Right. I'm really interested as this happens, some of the challenges that we're seeing with hemp and some of the challenges, especially, as your team has experience in the, mechanical side and operations side of the equipment, engineering, manufacturing. It's a new animal, right? It's a new plant, and it's got some strengths to it or dust, the capability to, control or manage the dust. I'm curious what you guys are anticipating, or, an angle maybe you guys have taken to really be successful understanding some of the challenges that, you've heard from the equipment suppliers and from some of the other processors that are using equipment similar to yours.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so with the 660 line that we purchased, we got the full layout, and like you mentioned, the dust issues that come along with that. We also got the dust collection system involved with our full line. Yeah. So we can kind of mitigate those things that come along with that, and potentially put that to use. I mean, collect it, put it to use wherever it can go.
We've got a good question right here that just came in, and Brandon, thank you for asking. But why did you, as a nation, settle on hemp? This is great question.
Yeah, great question, Brandon. Thank you for asking. Yeah, so we were just exploring new opportunities. I mean, we really fully believe in it, the renewable aspect, the regenerative aspect. We as a nation, we've seen a lot of our lands be historically put into conventional farming practices. So all of those inputs coming from fertilizers, chemicals, etc. We have a nice EPA or Planning and Environmental Protection Program that really highlights those issues that occur within our soil health, our water health, and they kind of monitor those things. And year to year, we can see the trends happen during those times of the planting season, where those applications are being put. And so, researching, learning about industrial hemp, and seeing its properties and what it can do as far as phytoremediation or soil remediation. We're just really believe in utilizing those plants to do those specific things to help regenerate the health of the whole ecosystem that we have where we're living.
Yeah, that's awesome. So what has been some of the challenges then, right? When we talk about scaling acres, what are some of the reservations or challenges that you're coming across, in addition to genetics?
Yeah, so almost all of our acres are dry land. And so that's probably one of the biggest challenges that we're seeing. Like this year, not a whole lot of summer rainfall. And then a whole lot of spring rainfall, which kind of pushed us back in our planting dates. And so really the challenge is really getting the process down, I guess, from planting to harvest. And those planting dates, we're learning that those are vitally important to get in almost as early as possible after those last frost dates and any which way. And so,
yeah. Are you guys going to drill?
That is some of the intention for the 2023 season. We kind of want to do both. So no-till and then precision drill some of that in, and then kind of do some trials with the spacing as well. We went 7.5 inch no-till on almost all of our acres. And of course, it's too wet. We can't get in, kind of pushes our dates back. But if we can drill, then we can certainly get in a little earlier when you want to, and then also play with the row spacing.
Why? What are you thinking about row spacing? Talk to me about that.
Yeah, just on the regenerative part of planting, you got row spacing. I kind of want to incorporate cover crops in between those rows, to really fight off the weed pressure that we have been experiencing. And so we see that people are doing that around the country. I've been speaking with some of those cover crop specialists and other folks who are playing with those um, kind of practices, like Cornell and all of those folks out in Pennsylvania, just kind of picking their brain about what worked, what species works with cover crops, intercropping, and just kind of see what we can do and what we can make work in our area.
Mm-hmm. It's interesting you say this. We look at like building opportunity for next year and what we're going to be looking at for trials and more, like cover crops, adding cover crops in. And there's quite a bit of capital available, for grant money for cover crops and regenerative practices. And so adding a cover crop into rotation, I will be interested in seeing how this develops and what kind of trials are in place to incorporate that. I'm always fascinated about the cropping systems and what works and what doesn't. That's awesome. So how many acres did you say are regenerative?
All of them. We want to put all of them into.
It is regenerative.
Awesome. Yeah. After every harvest, we'll cover crop almost immediately, and then come 2023, we want to kind of interseed in between our hemp rows and see how that works. Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah. See, this is the part that I just don't know very much about. It's not something that we have talked a lot about. Is the cropping systems with the hemp with different systems and how it acts and what's better. And it'll be interesting to see data also, as to which genetics gave a better cover, right? That we're able to drown out weed or beat the weeds out. That makes a big difference on production, big scale production. So fascinating.
Yeah, and genetics is something we're still kind of exploring also, because we're seeing a lot of genetics from all around the world. Everybody likes certain genetics from certain regions that work here well and other places well, and so that's kind of, I guess, some of the R&D that we're doing, planting multiple genetics. But first we got to get them in early enough to beat the weeds.
Yeah, absolutely. So they've got time to shoot up in advance. I had another question for you. Oh, can you talk a little bit about your event? What can people expect? What does it look like? How do people register? I'll share the link here, but talk a little bit more about.
Yeah, September 17th from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. We're going to have a grand open house at our facility here on site. It'll be our processing warehouse facility. It's just going to be kind of a showing of what we have, what we've been doing, education on all those fronts, kind of bring in some partners to kind of show what certain people are doing in the industry with these things, maybe some small demos and all that. But yeah, it's really just an educational open house, kind of come see what we're doing here in Northeast Kansas and kind of get some visibility, put us on the map, and kind of promote the industry as well through that. Hoping our local farmers, local producers come and kind of see what this is and what it can be, and just kind of promote it in every fashion that we can.
Okay, so if somebody's connecting, how do they connect? Like, how do they reach out to you, and who fits inside that box as far as partnerships? Is it, like you said, sourcing bales, farm acres? Talk to me about if somebody's listening and they want to work together or really develop. Who is it that you guys are looking to connect with?
Yeah, sourcing bales, sourcing acres. Of course, what would benefit us would be closer to us in the Northeast Kansas region. But of course, if you're farther away, we've met quite a few people and processors where we can kind of point you in that direction if it's not feasible for us distance wise. We can certainly put you in contact with those folks in other places who also do processing and can kind of get you going. But yeah, sourcing our own acres around here, any bales that are within the right vicinity where we can purchase those in a couple hundred miles from us. And yeah, basically everybody in the industry. And what I've been fortunate enough is everybody I've met has put me on to somebody else. And so it's really that networking within the hemp industry that has helped us kind of move forward. And I fully promote that and wanting to put everybody on with anybody else who's in their specific region to kind of to help move this forward.
Yes, it's so much about who we know, right? And
Mm-hmm.
this is really why I'm passionate about doing what I do. And I'm so glad you said what you did, because it just like makes me all excited. I'm thrilled about the connectivity and being able to provide a platform where people can connect and build relationships. And like you said, attending these events have a ton of value face to face. Seeing it over Zoom versus face to face are two completely different experiences. And I think that it creates both a lot of opportunity, but I really encourage those that are in your area to come out. If you're up in northern Kansas or have flexibility to travel, to attend, also to be able to see the equipment. I think that the equipment is, another piece that if you haven't seen Formation Ag's Fiber 660, are you guys walking through the equipment or showing your facility also, I assume?
Yeah, we'll be showing it off. Yep.
That's awesome. Awesome. Talk to me about harvest. As you guys are harvesting acreage and, going to other farms to secure contracts, where are you seeing challenges as far as ability to harvest and size of acres in order to be successful at or to have equipment? Do most of the farmers in your area already have the equipment? Yeah, talk to me about that part.
Yeah. Of course, they have a lot of the equipment. It's really on the capacity to do that many acres with X amount of equipment. Because right now we do have the planter and combine, but we can only do so much in a short amount of time.
Mm-hmm.
And so as people learn that if you're going to harvest the grain side of things, you really have a smaller window to do that. And so we really want to maximize on the fiber herd, because that's kind of what our processing facility is going to need to be operational.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's really our focus kind of going forward. If we can harvest the grain and get the right people to help us do that, grain bins, combines, etc., to move those around and get those dried and stored properly, then absolutely we would move forward with that. But yep, just securing those acres for the fiber herd side of things is kind of our main focus right now.
Awesome. Do you guys have a lot of conversation about the dual crop because of value back to the farmer, or focused around value for the farm?
A little bit, yeah. We did that last year. We dual cropped, and that's where we did see that kind of challenge with not only regulation, but getting that grain harvested within that shatter window, and then getting it dried, getting it stored properly and to the right places. But yeah, definitely we'll put out that education on maximizing on what you're growing on your acres.
Okay, so regulations, right, around grain and fiber production compared to cannabinoid productions. Do you see a need to really separate the fiber and grain from cannabinoid?
I do, yeah. As a lot of people express, it really kind of gets put in together as far as those cannabinoid concentrations as well. A lot of people are understanding that the fiber in the herd is pretty much non-detectable, and those are the things that are also regulated as harshly as the floral side of the CBD and things like that. So I could see a benefit in moving the industrial side of the grain fiber forward a little easier without all of the overhead regulations that are tacked on as well with the CBD side of things.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm going to give a shout out or just a quick plug as we were talking about this because it's something that comes up and I just hear more and more buzz about the need to really put a separation, almost put the word term industrial back in the definition of hemp, right?
Mhm.
For that definition, but to the hemp exemption, I think that you can get on hempexemption.com and it basically outlines, you know, an effort or a bill with an effort to do just this, give an exemption to the fiber and grain production around the cannabinoid testing and licensing. It just changes it a little bit. It doesn't exempt it completely from all tests, or all licensing, but makes it easier. Removes some of the barrier to entry so that farmers are able to get into it and get involved in the industry easier. So yeah, I'd be happy to, or I'd be interested in chatting with you about that, being, your perspective on
Yeah,
where
I don't
that
think I've
really.
looked. I'm gonna write that down. I don't think I've looked at that yet.
Yeah, I'll actually share the link on it here.
Okay,
It's
cool.
good stuff. And then it also, there's another one too that I think is really good that's out that we can't deny is the certified seed or value the seed, and especially for cannabinoid production, a certified seed, if it removes the risk for the farmer of losing their entire crop by growing a certified seed compared to a non-certified seed, that could be definitely beneficial. I just really look at the fiber and grain growth and production and what genetics we have available and what's available to farmers on a national scale versus regional right now. Um, yeah, and I
Yeah,
just
and I'm excited to
we'll
see
see
the
what
data.
data shows as far as what genetics are great in different regions.
Yeah, yeah, and so we're super excited to see you and Melissa's fiber variety trials.
Yeah.
So yeah, that'll really kind of open up some of our plans moving forward once we kind of see those and get to yeah.
Awesome. So do you guys have talk to me about your operations, and maybe you already touched on this. Do you guys have an agronomist on your team that you work directly with, or are you consulting with the farmer for the field? Talk to me about that relationship. How did that come about?
Yeah, so we work with a couple of folks from around here. I work with K-State Extension
Yeah.
in
Awesome.
our local region here in Holton, Kansas, and they've been a big help on kind of advising, guiding, and giving us um, those tips and pointers on how our soil looks, what's the plans, how we can regenerate those levels that we need for hemp production, the demands that hemp has. That's something that everyone's kind of still learning, I guess. And so they're kind of, yeah, we've been working with a few folks to up our knowledge and get them in and have them learn about it to help others as well.
How does hemp really play a role in bringing, or revitalizing indigenous farming practices? Where do you really see it as that tool or opportunity?
Revitalizing indigenous practices. Um, that's a question to think about there.
Okay. I'm just curious. I'm kind of curious, as not understanding, you know, indigenous practices and farming practices very well.
Mhm.
Somebody asked this the other day on one of our calls is, how are we really utilizing hemp to support their practices and their farming practices that are
Mhm.
traditional to, you know, their culture and their land. And so, yeah, I'm just kind of curious.
Yeah, I guess, okay, to that point, a lot of it is mechanical, of course. We're
Sure,
using our machinery to plant, to harvest, all of that.
sure.
But we do believe in what hemp does, and that's regenerating and regenerating our soils. And if we have some wetland water projects, regenerating those, just the soil health, the ecosystem health, and I guess that's kind of tailored to that question. Just really respecting those facets of what our land base is, and that's really what we have and what we're going to pass down to our next generation. So we really want to keep that healthy and vital, and not really damage those ecosystems. So
Yeah.
people down our next generations are able to enjoy them as we do now. So what we know now, we're able to acknowledge what we've been doing, and hemp is something that we believe can be a part of that regeneration process for all of those things just mentioned. So.
I totally agree. Yes, and it was kind of a broad question or a difficult question, but really, it fits into so many sectors, from circular economy for animal feed and for better soil or better carbon in the soil. I mean, there's just so many things that I could go on and on about that we've all talked about so many times. When you talk about sustainability, what does sustainability mean? There's so many definitions, and I feel like it's so broad. What is that, to you personally? What is sustainability when you guys are going after a more sustainable organization?
Something sustainable to me means something that in line with renewable. So sustainable, being able to do that year after year without those negative effects of what the conventional practices, kind of what we see is happening with the conventional practices, without doing those things that help to mitigate the issues that come along with the conventional practices. So yeah.
Are you having, what's your observation, I guess, because I'm curious about what you've experienced in this transition from conventional practices to more regenerative practices, conventional practices.
So with us, we're kind of still on the smaller side of the ag operations.
Sure.
The tribe still does their operations.
Sure.
Sorry, what was the question again?
That's okay. I'm just curious what challenges or observation you've seen. This is another thing that comes up quite a bit is, are we going to see hemp grown in regenerative, or is it going to be grown, in conventional practices with, other row crops and traditional agriculture? And so I'm kind of curious, where is it going to lie on the spectrum, and what are you seeing, going from a conventional discussion, especially with the tribe, to regenerative practices, wanting to focus on the regenerative side. So yeah, I'm just kind of curious about your observation there.
Yeah. So we kind of take on both with our approach to planting hemp.
Okay.
We live in kind of the prairie, so one of the most diverse ecosystems in the nation. So we of course need to be able to mitigate our weed pressure. So those conventional ways are probably one of I would say easier ways, but that's why we're kind of go forward in 2023 with interseeding row crop or cover crops, just so we can do that process of regenerative ag in lieu with our hemp operations. So we can really focus on shying away, and that's our main goal, is to reduce our inputs as far as chemicals, fertilizers, and try to figure out how it works with in interspecies planting.
Okay.
But still be able to supplement our processing facility and operations that we have invested in.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so tons per hour. What are you guys looking at as far as offtake agreement? I kind of understand, for those that don't understand the formation ag equipment or have not really looked into it. I'm curious, you want to kind of talk to us about, like, what does your volume look like? What are some of the specs that you guys are looking to meet? Can you talk about on the processing side?
Yeah, as we aren't fully up and operational yet, I don't have a
Yeah,
hard number on that. But as
yeah,
advertised, up to 2 tons an hour is as advertised.
yeah.
We're gonna kind of see where we fit in with those numbers, and then just kind of promote it from there.
Yeah.
And also, as well as bale type, bale size, and variety type. Those are some of the variables that we're kind of considering, seeing how they process. Is there a lot of weed pressure that came in those bales? And so yeah, there's a lot to go into kind of crunching those numbers, from my understanding, before we're operational fully yet. And
Okay, I
so
want to keep hearing those things that you want to know. Like I love the weed pressure. Running our trials through decortication makes great data, right? Each of these different genetics in different regions or locations. Not only that, but different types of processing, right?
mhm.
Is it really the genetic that makes such the difference, or where does the type of processing really play a big role, or how much of each of those play a big role towards some end products? And so,
Yeah, and that's
kind
what we're interested in, is even the redding process, like
of,
windrows, winter redding, leaving
yeah,
the stalks up, what processes the most efficiently, and so that's things we're going to learn. And if there's people who have that data, we'd love to see how that works.
yeah. Where are you guys leading as far as windrows versus winter redding? I've seen both, right? We've seen them both done. I think that
Mhm.
the size of stalks make a big difference the longer the crop
Mhm.
grows, though.
Yeah, we laid it down, windrows, for our first successful harvest, but we do intend to do some trials with some winter redding, leaving them standing, and
Yeah,
see how they ret in that fashion. I've heard people do it over all winter, and just everything in between, and so it'd be interesting to see how those turn out.
yes, and quality. It's
Yeah.
fascinating to me. So if you could pick, a lot of times you hear people, equipment is going to be built. I hear this said, that equipment is really going to be built based on end product, end goal. Where would you say that end product is for your region? What would farmers typically be growing for? What do you anticipate, project, if you had your crystal ball? Where are you guys going to be marketing and selling into in the long term? Textiles,
Yeah,
biocomposites?
yeah. I think fiber and the textiles and everything down that road. We're seeing a lot of hempcrete
Yeah,
building materials
yeah.
being done throughout the native tribes in America, and so with
Okay.
their housing, and their as you said, sustainable. That would be towards that
Mhm,
industry,
mhm.
and that belief that these things are more sustainable, they're more renewable. We can produce this at a faster rate than the logging industries, and keep it coming year after year. Um, of course, um, but yeah, yeah,
What would you say some of the biggest needs of your tribe are? Right. This is what I see as huge opportunity is, um, and not just with yours, right? And any economy or any small community, right, is this circular opportunity. If say one of my areas has a housing need that has a massive shortage, the ability to grow and supply to our own demand, right, and be able to really create this circular economy. I think that is also a huge piece of sustainability, right, is keep that supply chain in house without risk of, or with minimal risk or less risk of disruption. What are some of those? And I'm just curious. Some of them, some organizations have huge cattle ranches. Some have housing needs. Some are, like I said, have no land but have water crisis, or some super fun sites. What are some of those that may be opportunities to explore for offtake agreements?
I think housing. You mentioned housing would probably be one of the bigger ones.
Sure.
Um, Yeah. Uh, so as far as needs, housing to keep that in a circular economy, of course, we're producing the hemp.
Yeah.
There are tribes around us that have um, modular home companies that kind of want to incorporate industrial hemp
Yeah.
into those building materials. And so I think that's really, really awesome, really interesting, and
Mhm.
really moving forward with the thinking of how we can utilize this crop, industrial hemp, with the already established things going on.
Totally.
So
Well, and that's what gets me really excited, right? Is where can we really fit this supply into an existing supply chain that we've already got pull or demand from? And I think that the housing becomes a extremely nice opportunity. And I love the prefabbed or modular building idea of prefabbed walls made out of hemp, whether it's the SIP panels or, yeah, any material, right? But it just makes sense that it could be pressed or molded and then put into a wall. And obviously, there's challenges because it's not being done yet, but that is definitely exciting for me.
mhm.
Very,
Sounds
very cool. Very cool. Also, of course, animal bedding and feed. You know, I'm interested in really getting behind the feed. Are you connected with the Hemp Feed Coalition at all?
um, not too much.
No.
We've been kind of attending some networking events here
Yeah.
with K State and their research on feed and all of that. But yeah,
Awesome.
we'd love to see that move forward. We of course have bison herds and
Yeah.
cattle, so to be able to feed them that um, fatty and protein rich source of grain would, I think,
You
make
guys
a
have a lot of opportunity. You know, you
mm,
guys have that capability, and I think that grain, whether you guys are growing grain or for grain or not, as the farm and the scale, you know, increases, being able to definitely harvest that grain as an additional revenue becomes exciting again for me. It's in
yeah.
this circular economy, in this sustainability aspect. It's exciting. There was a great question. Brandon asked earlier, have you partnered with universities for research studies? And I'm curious, what are some of those studies you guys are working on, if you are?
We have not partnered. We of course reached out. A lot of them are doing things already, and we'd love to be a part of that. Of course, we're near some of the bigger ag schools in the country, K State, KU's down the road, and so yeah, we've just kind of. I'd love to be a part of that, and
Well, it's
so if
nice.
they're out there and they're listening, we're here and we're ready to be a part of that research and data
Especially now
collection.
that facility is opening up, right? It changes the
Yeah,
game when you've got material that you can give to people to sample and try and understanding, similarities. I think that it's nice to, at least I find it a little bit comforting. It's exciting that, you've got other people that are operating similar equipment and, have built this proof of concept in your area to help partner on supply and gain interest. And it's nice to see the momentum in Kansas. You guys are really doing a good job. And so congrats.
yeah,
It's exciting.
yeah, and definitely want to give a shout out to them. Like down at South Bend,
Yeah.
them kind of uh, giving us some insight on how this line works and some of the practices and even Melissa doing the research down there. We're excited to see that and even attending their open houses. I mean, there's a lot of networking opportunities there, but to see Kansas slowly building up, and meeting these other folks that are doing it in Kansas is really inspiring.
It's pretty dang cool. It's been fun to watch. You guys are doing a great job. And as far as universities go, I'd love to help connect on collaboration, especially the material science side. It's where I'm starting to really geek out is, what is this next step? What do we get to make with it? And, as soon as we can get raw material into, the kids' hands, they'll change the world with it. And so it's pretty exciting. And I'd love
Yeah,
to help make connections. I'd love, as universities reach out in your area or have interest in gaining material, I'll be sure to make the connections. I did see a few people today. I saw Jay was looking for some material, so you'll have to get on. I saw Brandon was looking for material for hemp building. He said, I'm trying to find a hemp partner for building materials to feature in our showrooms. Finding someone who is open to it has been challenging. And so connecting with him, this would be great. And then also, well, who else did I see that was looking for material? Maybe it was just Jay. But yeah, so be sure to connect. Also look, I think it was for horse bedding. Someone was looking for horse bedding, made a comment. So we're definitely starting to see interest. The education is starting to get out there. The buzz about the value of it is starting to get out there. It'll be interesting what price points start to do, as industry starts to scale. Do you guys have intention, in the near future of scaling to multiple lines, or what does growth look like for you guys over the next few years?
We have definitely thought of that. Yeah, for sure. But yeah, I'll drop all of our contact information in there to where Brandon, thanks for those questions. And anybody else who wants to kind of get a hold of us, and if we can provide anything for you or vice versa, then yeah, let's definitely connect.
Okay, give me timeline real quick, and then we'll sign it and get out of here so we can, get on with our days. But I am really excited about this conversation. Talk to me about timeline before you guys are up and operating. Like if I wanted to order herd, what's an estimated time that, when will it be available potentially?
I would say, yeah, about 3 months. We're about 3 months out from having production packaged and ready material for folks.
That's not bad. Really, with harvest right around the corner, and
yeah, end of the year, going into 2023, we should be fully up and operational on that front.
Awesome. Remind me again, acres. Did you say, intended scale of acres? You're hoping to get to 1,500, 1,200 next year?
Yeah, our goal, 1,500 to 2,000. Personally, yeah. And that's what we're looking to scale up to at minimum. But of course, if there's more people out there that want to keep on pushing those acres up, we can definitely make that work.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, it just gives you opportunity to then run additional shifts, right? Or potential lines. And that's great. Excellent. Okay, well, again, one more time, if someone wants to get in touch with you, an email address or website is?
Yeah, website, prairiebandag.com. Phone number, I'll drop all that information in here.
I'll actually share your email address right here for everybody.
Okay.
Or not your email address, your website, so that it's here. And then from here, is there a contact us page or somewhere that someone can reach out on the website?
Yes. Yep.
Awesome.
Should be on there. And then I'll try to share our flyer. I'm not connected to the network right now for our office. So I'll try to get that flyer somehow in here.
I can see. But again, let me see if I can find the flyer. I'll share the flyer today right after this, actually, on our social media page. So on any of our channels, I'll go ahead and push it out as well. Make sure it's there. And then if you are not, go ahead.
Yeah, the flyer has my contact information on it, to where you can get a hold of us here.
Has the U.S. government helped subsidize the tribes with any green energy grants?
Yes, there is a few grants out there. We put in for the Smart Commodities grant, which there was a lot of funding in there tailored towards renewables, hemp, tribal nations, underserved communities, etc. And they just released another $550 million funding opportunity, which some of that I think is going to go towards those types of communities. So.
Yeah, I saw a press release the other day. They had announced 3 of the winners for the big grant. The original, then everybody else, or the next round of grants is going to be announced in the next week or so. And they said something like $20 billion worth of applications were submitted.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So Vilsack said that they're on to something, that
Yeah.
it just shows that we
Yeah,
really
they
do
know
need.
the presence is out there, and
Yeah.
yeah.
Oh yeah, here we go. Jay said, cheers from Maryland. I'm interested in finding a source for hemp animal bedding, particularly for horses. Cool. Shoot me a line, please.
Cool. Yeah, Jay. Let's definitely connect there.
That's awesome. And Jackie, 100% understand underserved.
Mhm.